I'm about to show you the specific drinks that act like a gentle scrub for your arteries, helping to clear the sticky buildup that hardens your blood vessels over time. This is not about a magical cure that happens overnight, but about understanding how liquid nutrition can reach your bloodstream faster than almost anything else. Most of us worry about the solid food we eat. We worry about the salt on our potatoes or the fat on our steak. But we often ignore the fact that our arteries are stiffening silently, day by day, because we aren't giving them the hydration and the specific nutrients they need to stay flexible. Your doctor might be treating the pressure, focusing entirely on the pump that is your heart, but they might be ignoring the condition of the pipes themselves. If the pipes are clogged or stiff, the pump has to work harder, and that is where the danger lies. I'm Dr. Ben Harris, and today I am going to walk you through a specific list of beverages that have been shown to support arterial health, lower blood pressure naturally, and help stabilize your blood sugar levels. But before we begin, I need to tell you something important. Most people do the right thing in the wrong sequence. They drink these beneficial tonics, but they do it at a time of day when their body cannot fully absorb the nutrients, or they mix them with ingredients that neutralize the benefit. I will show you the exact timing and preparation method for the strongest effect, and later I will share the one drink that is most effective when taken right before you sleep. Please take a moment right now to go to the comment section below. I want you to type in your age and your usual top number range for your blood pressure. It helps us build a community where we can see that we are not alone in this journey. Number 1. The first drink on our list is a deep red tea that functions in your body very similarly to a common class of blood pressure medications. We are talking about hibiscus tea. To understand why this is so powerful, I want to share the story of a patient named Martha. Martha came to see me when she was 72 years old. She was absolutely terrified. She was a woman who had lived a healthy life. She gardened, she walked her dog, and she tried to eat right. But every time she went to her primary care physician, her blood pressure readings were climbing. It had started at 140/90, and then it crept up to 150/95. Her doctor was very close to doubling her medication, and Martha hated the way the pills made her feel. She told me they made her feel tired, heavy, and a little bit dizzy when she stood up too fast. When she sat in my office, she told me that she could feel her heart racing simply sitting in her chair. She felt a tightness, not a pain, but a pressure in her chest that made her anxious, which of course made the blood pressure go even higher. It was a vicious cycle. She felt like her arteries were rigid pipes that wouldn't relax. We looked at her diet, and it was decent, but she was drinking a lot of black tea with milk and sugar. We made a very simple swap. We introduced hibiscus tea into her daily routine, specifically 2 to 3 cups a day. Here is the science of why we did this, explained simply. Hibiscus flowers are rich in a specific type of antioxidant called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give berries and flowers their deep red or purple color. When you drink this tea, these compounds enter your bloodstream, and they help to inhibit an enzyme in your body known as the angiotensin converting enzyme, or ACE. You might have heard of ACE inhibitors. They are a very common prescription drug. This enzyme causes your blood vessels to constrict and tighten up. When your vessels tighten, your blood pressure goes up because the space for the blood to flow is smaller. Hibiscus acts as a natural, gentle inhibitor of this enzyme. It tells the enzyme to back off, which allows the blood vessel walls to relax and widen. Within 6 weeks, Martha noticed a difference. It wasn't overnight, but she came back and told me that her morning readings had dropped by about 7 to 10 points on the top number. She felt calmer. The racing sensation in her chest had subsided. Her doctor was surprised, but he was pleased enough to delay doubling her medication, and eventually, as she continued her lifestyle changes, she stayed on the lower dose. Now, how do you use this effectively? This is where many people make a mistake. You need to look for dried hibiscus flowers or high-quality hibiscus tea bags that contain only hibiscus. You do not want a blend that is mostly apple peels and sugar with a little bit of hibiscus for color. You want the real thing. It has a tart, sour taste, very similar to cranberry. To prepare it properly for arterial health, you want to steep it longer than you would a normal tea. I recommend steeping it for at least 5 to 7 minutes. You want the water to turn a very deep, dark red. That color is the medicine. If the water is pink, it is too weak. If it is deep crimson, you are getting the full dose of anthocyanins. You can drink this warm or you can drink it cold. For many seniors, a warm cup in the mid-morning is very soothing. However, because it is tart, many people want to sweeten it. Do not use sugar. Sugar causes inflammation, which damages the arteries and defeats the purpose of the drink. If you must sweeten it, use a tiny amount of pure stevia or monk fruit, or perhaps a very small drizzle of honey if your blood sugar allows it. But try to acquire the taste for the tartness. It tastes like health. There is a safety note here. Because hibiscus is so effective at lowering blood pressure, if you are already on high doses of medication, you need to monitor your numbers. You do not want your pressure to drop too low. This brings me to a critical rule about measuring your blood pressure at home. If you are going to try these natural remedies, you must know if they are working. Martha made the mistake of checking her pressure immediately after washing the dishes. This gave her a falsely high reading. To get an accurate measurement, you must sit in a chair with your back supported and your feet flat on the floor for at least 5 minutes before you put the cuff on. Do not talk. Do not look at your phone. Just breathe. Even listening to someone else talk can raise your pressure by 10 points. Take 2 readings, 1 minute apart, and average them. This is the number you should trust. Number 2. The second drink is an earthy, strong-colored juice that acts as a signal to your body to expand the blood vessels immediately. We are talking about beetroot juice. I know what you might be thinking. Dr. Ben, I hate the taste of beets. They taste like dirt. I hear this all the time. But before you dismiss it, listen to the story of Albert. Albert was 68 years old, and he came to me with a different set of symptoms. He had high blood pressure, yes, but he also complained that his hands and feet were always cold. Even in the summer, he would wear socks to bed. This is often a sign of poor peripheral circulation. The blood is having a hard time reaching the tiny capillaries in the extremities because the arteries leading there are stiff or constricted. Albert was a meat and potatoes man. He did not like vegetables, and he certainly did not like beets, but he was worried about his circulation. He had a fear of developing blood clots or having issues with his legs as he got older. I told him that beetroot juice is one of the few foods that has a direct, measurable effect on blood pressure within hours of consuming it. Here is what happens inside your body. Beets are incredibly high in natural nitrates. These are not the bad nitrates found in processed meats like bacon. These are natural, plant-based nitrates. When you drink the juice, your body converts these nitrates into a gas called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule. It travels through your endothelium, that is the inner lining of your blood vessels, and it sends a broadcast message: relax and open. It literally dilates the arteries. This improves blood flow not just to your heart, but to your brain, your kidneys, and yes, to your cold hands and feet. Recent studies have shown that drinking just 1 cup of beetroot juice can lower systolic blood pressure, that top number, by several points for up to 24 hours. It is that potent. Albert agreed to try it, but we had to deal with the taste. If you cannot stand the earthy flavor of pure beet juice, you can mix it. We had Albert mix half a cup of beetroot juice with half a cup of apple juice or carrot juice. This masks the earthy flavor significantly. Over time, as he got used to it, he reduced the fruit juice to lower the sugar content. Within a few weeks, Albert noticed his hands were warmer, his energy levels were better, and his home blood pressure readings were consistently lower in the afternoons after his morning juice. He felt like his system was flowing freely again. Now, there are some important details for you to know if you want to try this. You can buy organic beetroot juice at most supermarkets or health food stores. Look for one that is not from concentrate if possible, and check the label to make sure there is no added sugar. If you have a juicer at home, making it fresh is fantastic. Scrub the beets well, you don't even have to peel them if they are organic, and put them through the juicer. However, there are 2 groups of people who need to be cautious with this. First, if you are prone to kidney stones, specifically calcium oxalate stones, you should be careful with beets and beet greens, as they are high in oxalates. You might want to skip this one or talk to your doctor. Second, if you have diabetes or are watching your blood sugar very strictly, be aware that beets do contain natural sugars. It is a root vegetable after all. Drinking the juice removes the fiber, which can cause a faster sugar spike than eating the whole beet. For my diabetic patients, I often suggest eating the whole beet roasted or steamed instead, or drinking a smaller amount of the juice mixed with water and a squeeze of lemon to slow down the absorption. One fascinating thing about the nitric oxide conversion is that it starts in your mouth. The bacteria on your tongue help convert the nitrates. So, if you use a very strong antiseptic mouthwash that kills all the bacteria in your mouth, you might actually reduce the effectiveness of the beetroot juice. It is better to avoid strong mouthwash right before or after drinking your beet juice. Number 3. The third drink is a warm, soothing beverage that is widely known but often prepared incorrectly. It is green tea with a squeeze of fresh lemon. This drink is a powerhouse for the endothelium, that delicate inner lining of your arteries that I mentioned earlier. When the endothelium is healthy, your arteries are slippery and flexible. When it is damaged, plaque has a place to stick, and the arteries become stiff. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor was 75, and she had a problem that is very common among older adults. She had what we call unstable blood sugar. She wasn't a full-blown diabetic, but her numbers were creeping up into the pre-diabetic range. High blood sugar is like shards of glass to your arteries. It scratches and damages the lining, which creates inflammation, and then your body sends cholesterol to patch up the damage. That patch is the plaque that clogs the artery. Eleanor's morning routine was a large cup of coffee with a very sweet, flavored hazelnut creamer. She loved it. It was her comfort. But that blast of sugar and inflammatory oils first thing in the morning was setting her up for a day of metabolic chaos. Her arteries were getting stiffer because of the constant sugar spikes. We needed to replace that ritual with something that would heal the lining of her arteries rather than damage it. We switched her to green tea. Green tea is rich in catechins, specifically one powerful antioxidant known as EGCG. This compound helps to prevent the oxidation of LDL cholesterol. You have probably heard of bad cholesterol, but LDL is really only bad when it gets oxidized. Think of it like rusting. When cholesterol rusts, it sticks to the artery walls. Green tea helps prevent that rust. But why the lemon? This is the secret. Studies suggest that adding citrus juice, vitamin C, to green tea can significantly increase the amount of catechins your body absorbs. It stabilizes the antioxidants so they survive your stomach acid and get into your bloodstream where they can do their work. Eleanor struggled at first. She missed her creamy sweet coffee, but we made a deal. She would try the green tea for 21 days. She found that she actually liked the clean, fresh taste of the lemon. After a month, her fasting blood sugar numbers had improved. Because she wasn't spiking her sugar in the morning, she didn't have the mid-morning crash that usually made her crave donuts or cookies. Her energy was steadier, and because her sugar was stable, her blood pressure began to stabilize too. The two are intimately connected. If you are going to use green tea, you must be careful with the water temperature. This is where most people ruin it. If you pour boiling water directly onto green tea leaves, you cook them. You destroy some of the delicate nutrients, and you make the tea taste bitter and grassy. You want the water to be hot, but not boiling. If you boil the kettle, let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes to cool down slightly before you pour it over the tea bag. Let it steep for 2 to 3 minutes, then squeeze in a wedge of fresh lemon. A note on caffeine. Green tea does contain caffeine, though much less than coffee. If you are very sensitive to caffeine, or if you find that caffeine spikes your blood pressure, look for a high-quality decaffeinated green tea. The decaffeination process removes the caffeine but leaves most of the antioxidants intact, especially if it is a water-processed decaf. Also, for those monitoring their blood sugar, I want to give you a specific rule regarding reading context. If you check your blood sugar in the morning, try to check it before you have any caffeine. Caffeine can sometimes trigger the liver to release a little bit of stored glucose, which might give you a slightly higher reading than expected. Knowing this helps you not to panic if you see a number that is 5 points higher after your tea. Eleanor found that by swapping her sugary coffee for green tea with lemon, she felt lighter. The bloating in her stomach went away, and knowing that she was washing her arteries with antioxidants every morning gave her a sense of control over her health that she hadn't felt in years. Number 4, the fourth drink is a golden tonic that is essentially an inflammation eraser. It is a warm turmeric and ginger tonic. Inflammation is the silent fire that burns inside the arteries. We often think of high blood pressure as just a mechanical problem, too much fluid in too small a pipe. But often the root cause is chronic, low-grade inflammation that makes the vessel walls swollen and stiff. James was a 64-year-old patient who came to me with a combination of high blood pressure and aching knees. He had arthritis, and he was taking over-the-counter pain relievers almost every day. He didn't realize that his knee pain and his blood pressure were coming from the same source, systemic inflammation. James was a skeptic. He wanted a pill to fix the pain and a pill to fix the pressure. I explained to him that we could try to cool down the inflammation in his entire body, which would help both his knees and his arteries. We introduced him to what many cultures call golden milk, but we adapted it to be very heart-healthy. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatories studied by science. It works on multiple pathways in the body to reduce the chemical markers of inflammation. Ginger works alongside it, helping to improve circulation and further reduce pain. When you lower inflammation, your blood vessels can relax. They become more pliable. This allows the heart to pump with less resistance. However, you cannot just chew on a piece of turmeric root and expect a miracle. Curcumin is very poorly absorbed by the human body. If you just eat turmeric, most of it passes right through you. To unlock its power, you need 2 keys. Key number 1 is black pepper. Black pepper contains piperine, which has been shown to increase the absorption of curcumin by up to 2,000%. It is a massive difference. You only need a pinch, but it is non-negotiable. Key number 2 is fat. Curcumin is fat-soluble. It needs a little bit of fat to be carried into the bloodstream. So, here's the recipe we gave James. We took a cup of unsweetened almond milk. You could use oat milk, soy milk, or regular dairy milk if you tolerate it well. We warmed it up in a small saucepan. We added half a teaspoon of good quality turmeric powder, a quarter teaspoon of ground ginger, and a pinch of black pepper. Because James needed the fat for absorption, and almond milk is quite low in fat, we added a half teaspoon of coconut oil. You could also use a little bit of ghee, or just use a higher fat milk. We whisked it all together until it was warm and yellow. James started drinking this in the evening, about an hour before bed. He found it incredibly soothing. It became a ritual that helped him wind down, which also helps lower blood pressure. After about 3 weeks, James noticed something interesting. He woke up with less stiffness in his knees. Because his pain was lower, he was able to walk more during the day. Because he was walking more, his blood pressure started to come down. It was a positive domino effect. The turmeric didn't fix his blood pressure overnight by itself, but it reduced the inflammation that was holding him back. For safety, I must mention that turmeric in high medical doses can act as a mild blood thinner. If you are on prescription blood thinners like warfarin or others, you should consult your doctor before starting a daily regimen of concentrated turmeric. Culinary amounts used in cooking are usually fine, but this drink is more concentrated. Also, be careful with the turmeric powder. It stains everything bright yellow. Do not spill it on your white countertop or your clothes. This drink also supports better sleep, and we know that poor sleep is a major driver of high blood pressure and high blood sugar. When you sleep poorly, your stress hormones stay high, keeping your glucose and pressure elevated. By creating a calming evening ritual with this warm golden drink, you are signaling to your body that the day is over, the stress is done, and it is time to rest and repair. Here is another simple habit to go along with this. When you make this drink, try to inhale the steam as it cools. The ginger steam can help open up your nasal passages, promoting better breathing. Better breathing means more oxygen, and more oxygen helps lower blood pressure. I have seen patients like James completely transform their quality of life just by addressing the inflammation. He went from a man who limped into my office, grumpy and in pain, to a man who was walking 30 minutes a day and smiling. His arteries were happier, and so was he. So far, we have covered the red tea that relaxes vessels, the earthy juice that signals expansion, the green tea that prevents rust, and the golden tonic that puts out the fire of inflammation. These are powerful tools. But we are only halfway through. There are 4 more drinks that are just as critical, including one that tastes like a dessert but acts like a medicine, and another that is essential for directing calcium into your bones so it doesn't end up clogging your arteries. The next items on this list address the thickness of your blood and the very structure of your arterial walls. If you have found these first 4 tips helpful, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. It helps me continue to bring this information to you. Number 5. The 5th drink is often called the pomegranate juice, but specifically, we are looking at it as the plaque stabilizer. Pomegranate juice is unique because of its incredible density of antioxidants, specifically punicolagens. These are extremely potent. Research has suggested that pomegranate juice not only reduces blood pressure by inhibiting that same ACE enzyme we talked about earlier, but it may also help to reduce the thickness of the carotid artery wall. Think about that. Your carotid arteries are the big vessels in your neck that supply blood to your brain. Doctors often scan these to check for stroke risk. If the walls are thick, it means there is plaque buildup. Pomegranate juice has shown promise in clinical trials in helping to reverse some of this thickening over long periods of regular use. Let me introduce you to Sarah. Sarah was 70 years old. She had a sweet tooth that was essentially destroying her metabolic health. She loved soda. She would drink 2 or 3 cans of cola a day. She told me, "Dr. Ben, I just need something sweet and fizzy." The soda was spiking her insulin, causing her body to hoard salt and driving her blood pressure through the roof. Her triglycerides were high, which is a type of fat in the blood. We had to get her off the soda, but telling her to drink water wasn't going to work. She would have quit in 2 days. So, we used pomegranate juice as a bridge. We took 2 ounces, just a shot glass worth, of pure, unsweetened pomegranate juice. It is very tart and sweet. We mixed it with a tall glass of sparkling water and a lot of ice. It looked like a fancy soda. It had the fizz she wanted. It had the sweetness. But instead of high fructose corn syrup, she was getting a medicinal dose of antioxidants. Sarah loved it. She started having this mocktail every afternoon instead of her cola. The change in her health profile over 6 months was dramatic. Her triglycerides dropped. Her blood pressure came down significantly. But there is a very important safety warning here that you must hear. Pomegranate interacts with the liver enzymes that process medications, very similar to how grapefruit does. If you are on statins for cholesterol or certain blood pressure medications, pomegranate juice can affect how those drugs are metabolized. It might make the drug stay in your system longer, increasing the potency and the side effects. If you are on prescription medication, you simply must ask your doctor or pharmacist, "Is it safe for me to consume pomegranate?" If they say no, stick to the hibiscus tea or the beet juice. Do not take the risk. However, if you are not on those interacting medications, this is a fantastic tool. You do not need to drink a whole gallon. In fact, you shouldn't, because fruit juice does have natural sugar. We are treating this like medicine. 2 to 4 ounces a day is all you need. Dilute it with water or sparkling water to make it a long, refreshing drink that hydrates you while it heals you. This leads us to another key point about hydration. Many seniors are chronically dehydrated, and they don't even know it. As we age, our thirst mechanism, the signal that tells us to drink, gets weaker. You might need water, but not feel thirsty. When you are dehydrated, your blood volume drops, but your body tries to compensate by retaining sodium and constricting your blood vessels to maintain pressure. This makes your blood thicker and more viscous, harder to pump. It is like trying to pump syrup instead of water. This is why mixing these juices with water is so smart. You are getting the flavor, the nutrients, and the hydration all at once. Sarah found that by swapping her soda for the pomegranate spritzer, she lost about 5 pounds without really trying. That weight loss further helped her blood pressure. It is amazing how one small substitution can cascade into multiple health benefits. Number 6. The sixth drink is one that brings a smile to almost everyone's face. It is raw cacao or a dark hot chocolate. You might be thinking, chocolate? Really? Yes, but we are not talking about the sugary, milky instant cocoa mix you buy in packets. We are talking about high-quality, raw cacao powder, or extremely dark chocolate melted into a drink. This is the flavanol flood. Cocoa beans are incredibly rich in flavanols. These compounds stimulate the production of nitric oxide, just like the beets, but they also improve the elasticity of the arteries. Elasticity is crucial. You want your arteries to be like new rubber bands, stretchy and snappy. When the heart pumps, they should expand to take the pressure and then snap back. Hardened arteries are like old, dried-out rubber bands. They don't stretch, so when the heart pumps, the pressure shoots up because the vessel is rigid. William was 78. He was a man who felt that heart healthy meant his life was over. He thought he had to eat cardboard and drink water for the rest of his days. He was actually quite depressed about his food options. He told me, "Dr. Ben, what is the point of living longer if I can't enjoy anything?" He had high systolic pressure, largely due to age-related stiffening of the arteries. I told William that he could have chocolate, but he had to prepare it differently. We created a morning ritual for him. He would take a tablespoon of unsweetened raw cacao powder. This is different from cocoa powder, which has been roasted at high temperatures. Raw cacao retains more nutrients, but if you can't find raw, standard unsweetened cocoa powder is still good. He mixed this into warm almond milk. He added a pinch of cinnamon, which is great for blood sugar control, and a little drop of vanilla extract. He sweetened it with a monk fruit sweetener. William called this his medicine, but he said it with a wink. He drank it every morning. The flavanols in the cocoa helped improve his insulin sensitivity, meaning his body handled sugar better, and helped improve that arterial flexibility. Studies have shown that regular consumption of cocoa flavanols can lower blood pressure in elderly individuals with isolated systolic hypertension. It's not a massive drop, but it is significant, and it comes with a mood boost. Chocolate increases serotonin and endorphins in the brain. William's mood improved. He stopped feeling like a victim of his diet, and interestingly, his blood pressure readings started to show a nice, gentle downward trend. He felt that he had regained a little bit of joy, and joy is a powerful antidote to stress. When choosing your powder, look at the ingredients. It should say 100% cacao or cocoa. No sugar, no milk powder, no marshmallows. You control what goes in. If you have acid reflux or GERD, be careful with chocolate, as it can relax the valve in the stomach and cause heartburn for some people. If that is you, stick to the morning time so you are upright for hours after drinking it, or choose one of the other options on this list. Number 7. The seventh drink is the simplest, cheapest, and perhaps most effective tool for metabolic control. It is water with apple cider vinegar. We call this the viscosity regulator. Linda was 66 years old. She suffered from episodes of dizziness that she was convinced were mini strokes or heart attacks. She would go to the ER, they would run tests and tell her she was fine. But she didn't feel fine. Her heart would pound, and she felt lightheaded. It turned out Linda was suffering from huge blood sugar spikes and crashes after meals combined with chronic dehydration. Her blood was thick and sticky with glucose, and her volume was low. We started her on a very simple regimen. Before her biggest meal of the day, usually lunch, she would take a tall glass of water, about 12 ounces. She would add 1 tablespoon of organic apple cider vinegar. The acetic acid in the vinegar does something remarkable. It slows down the enzyme in your stomach that breaks down starch. This means that when you eat your potatoes or your bread, the sugar enters your bloodstream much slower. It flattens the glucose curve. By preventing the massive spike in sugar, you prevent the massive spike in insulin. High insulin is a driver of high blood pressure because it makes your kidneys hold on to sodium. By keeping insulin lower, you help your kidneys release salt and water, lowering your pressure. Linda hated the taste at first. It is strong. We told her to use a straw. This is important to protect the enamel on your teeth from the acid. Drink it down, then rinse your mouth with plain water. Within a week, Linda's dizziness vanished. She was hydrated from the water, and her blood sugar was stable because of the vinegar. Her post-meal energy slump disappeared. For blood pressure specifically, the hydration aspect here is key. I want you to try an experiment. If you feel tired or if your pressure is running a bit erratic, drink a large glass of plain water. Wait 20 minutes. Check your pressure again. Often, simply hydrating the system allows the blood to flow more smoothly, and the pressure normalizes. One caution: if you have chronic kidney disease, do not drink excessive amounts of water without talking to your nephrologist, as you may have fluid restrictions. But for most seniors, we are underhydrated. Number 8. The final drink on our list is a fermented kefir or yogurt drink. This is the calcium guide. Thomas was 71. He was very worried about calcification. He had a calcium score scan of his heart, and the numbers were higher than he wanted. He was taking calcium supplements because he was worried about his bones, but he was terrified that the calcium was going into his arteries instead. This is a valid fear. Calcium needs a guide. It needs vitamin K2 to tell it to go into the bones and stay out of the arteries. Fermented dairy products like kefir, a drinkable yogurt, are rich in probiotics, but full-fat fermented dairy also contains vitamin K2. It also contains peptides that have been shown to have a mild blood pressure lowering effect. We switched Thomas off his calcium pills, which can cause spikes in blood calcium, and onto a daily cup of plain, unsweetened kefir. He would blend it with a handful of blueberries. This provided him with dietary calcium, which is safer, along with the vitamin K2 to direct that calcium properly. It also improved his gut health. We are learning more and more that a healthy gut microbiome helps regulate blood pressure. The bacteria in your gut produce chemicals that can lower pressure. Thomas felt better knowing he was feeding his bones without clogging his arteries. If you know someone over 50 who could benefit from this list, please share this video with them. It might just change their daily routine for the better. And subscribe for more simple blood pressure and blood sugar tips. I'm Dr. Ben Harris, and I will see you in the next video.